Okay, I think we're ready whenever you are ready to begin.
Okay, is everybody ready? Good, all right. The regular monthly board meeting of the Ambridge Area School District Board of Directors on Wednesday, May 13th, 2020 is now called to order. Have the flag salute, if you all could please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic
for which
which
it
is
stands, one nation,
one nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with
with
liberty
Liberty
and
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 justice.
justice for all.
for all.
Okay. June, can I have a roll call, please?
Sorry, Mr. Angus,
Here.
Miss Gill,
Here,
Mr. Campbell,
Here.
Mrs. Kehoe, Mrs. Kehoe,
here,
Mrs. Mylan,
here,
Miss Pettigo,
here,
Miss Trimber,
here,
Miss Young,
here,
Mrs. Fisher.
Here.
9 members present.
Thank you. Can I have the sunshine law, please?
Yes. The Board of School Directors held executive sessions on Monday, April 20th, Thursday, April 30th, and Wednesday, May 13th to discuss personnel matters, information, strategy, and/or negotiation session relating to negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement, matters subject to attorney-client privilege, and other confidentiality laws.
Thank you. Do we have any correspondence this evening, June?
I have forwarded them all.
Okay, very
Mr.
good. And those will be discussed during public comment. Thank you. Moving on to, I have a motion on the floor to accept or correct the minutes of the March discuss meeting and the 15th virtual board meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, thank you. Moving on, I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report dated April 2020, excuse me.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a
Second.
second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on, do we have any amendments, addendums to the agenda or approval of agenda this evening? No, June. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to recognition. We have quite a few recognitions this evening, which I am very proud to be part of presenting those. And as I would like to say, the entire board is very, very pleased and excited to present these to our students. Okay. Okay. Beaver County Career and Technology Center CTC Award winners for 2020. Future Business Leaders of America. Wire, first place, computer applications. Caleb Tarrick, first place, networking concepts. Troy Jacob, second place, networking concepts. Austin Fustich, third place, business calculations. Fall Regionals, Austin Stokes, fifth place, nursery landscaping. Skills USA, Jacob Troutman, second place, Teamworks. Math Counts winners. The mission of Math Counts is to increase enthusiasm for and enhance achievement in middle school mathematics throughout the United States. Fiscal in mind, the Math Counts Foundation administers a nationwide math enrichment coaching and competition program. Each year, 500 plus local competitions and 57 state competitions are conducted throughout the United States. At the Math Counts Beaver County competition, sponsored by the Pennsylvania Society of Professional Engineers on February 1st, 2020 at Penn State Beaver, 5 of our middle school students placed in the top 10. Camden Mawhinney, 8th grader, 1st place. Cody Roper, 7th grader, 3rd place. Chloe Castro, 8th grader, 8th place. Anthony Spicker, 7th grader, 9th place. Braden, 8th grader, 10th place. A team of 4 of our middle school students are in 2nd place. Braden Reeves, 8th grade. Camden Mawhinney, 8th grade. Aiden Ortido, 7th grade. And Kylie Dreyer, 8th grade. Camden Mawhinney and Cody Roper were to represent the middle school, Beaver County, and the district at the state competition, in Harrisburg on March 13th, 2020, which was canceled due to the pandemic. 23rd Annual Ambridge Area Middle School 7th and 8th grade Science Fair, top 5 places. Brenna Gurley and Emma Wynham, 1st place, biodegradable paper plates. Camden Mawhinney, 2nd place, best compost for pea plants. Sophie Bodway and Brianna Smith, 3rd place, fears and how they vary with age. Honorable mention, Heidi Setzenfan and Elena Velasco, where is worst air quality in Beaver County? Joshua Portolapak, paperclip motor. The Martin Luther King Jr. Oratorical Contest. The annual Martin Luther King Jr. Youth and Community Awards was held on January 19th, 2020 at Center Stage Banquet Hall. The winners were as follows. Grade 4, Molly Ann Cephas, Highland Elementary, 1st place. Lexi Harold, Economy Elementary, 2nd place. Grade 5, Benjamin Vakovican, State Street Elementary, 2nd place. Congratulations to all the winners. We are so very proud of you. So very proud of you. Okay, moving on to public comment regarding agenda items only. At this time, district residents may come forward to comment on agenda items only. Each person must state their first and last name and address prior to speaking. Each resident will be allowed 3 minutes and can speak only once. This period for public comment prior to the standing committee reports will be limited to 1/2 hour. Although not required, board members desiring to address questions or concerns may do so after the resident's comment question or at the conclusion of the committee reports. There will still be an opportunity for residents to comment on any business relevant to the Ambridge Area School District under old and new business at the end of the meeting.
Okay, I have a number of comments that were sent in prior to the meeting. So I'll read through those and then we can take additional questions from the public. The first comment is from Stephanie Priori of Freedom. The board should strongly consider adding a 4th first grade teacher at Economy Elementary. The current class is 75 students. A minimum 25 students in a first grade classroom is too many. Smaller class sizes ensure all students receive the quality, differentiated instruction they are entitled to and deserve. This is especially important in the primary years, such as first grade, when they are learning to read and are developing other foundational skills. I would be happy to provide professional research and literature on this topic if requested by the board. Next comment is from Sarah, and I apologize if I'm butchering the names, but Sarah Pylan from Freedom, PA. As a taxpayer, I'm extremely concerned about budgetary restrictions due to the loss of tax revenue. However, cutting teachers cannot be a viable answer. First and foremost, our students deserve better. Class sizes are quite large as it is, as observed in the elementary schools. How can teachers be effective if they are given an overload of students in a class and the class missed a quarter of the year of education? Who will fix the educational gaps created by this byproduct of the optional distance learning if more teachers are eliminated? The teachers that we have in the district set Ambridge apart from the other districts in our county due to their unwavering dedication, especially in Economy Elementary. We as taxpayers understand the serious debt that this pandemic has plagued us with. I know the limited options exist, including offering a retirement buyout, discussing vendor freezes, and finding additional cuts to an already dwindling budget. However, cutting teachers and continuing to expect the remaining staff to engage and educate a greater number of students will not benefit our bottom line, the students. Thank you kindly for your consideration. Teresa Ebert from Baden, PA. I'm concerned that the board is making cuts in the wrong places. Why would the board cut a position in the high school English department, which is responsible for preparing students for Keystones, ACT, SATs, AP Language, and AP Literature, all of which will bring in state funding based off of the scores, leaving only 3 full-time teachers to accomplish this important task? How can the board justify 6 full-time social studies teachers when this is a subject not on any of the above mentioned tests? In the high school alone, there will be more full-time secretaries than English teachers if these cuts are made. Jen Kamzelski, Economy Borough. I'm concerned about rumors of all the job cuts with teachers and also about graduation. We do not want a virtual ceremony. These kids deserve a ceremony just like other schools are planning. Denise Manganello from Baden, PA. Normally when districts have a budget deficit, the first thing they do is furlough teachers. Have we or will we be planning on doing a demand tally of student enrollment in the buildings? Have we looked at what is best overall as a district? I understand that class sizes may increase, but I can tell you my son is in a class that required a fourth teacher to be hired for the kindergarten class. The class has around 75 or 80 students. Will this teacher be moving with this large class, or will you be making class sizes of 25 to 28 in the first grade class when we have missed 11 weeks of education? 25 to 28 is too large of a class size for first graders. These students are learning the fundamentals, and the highest number that would be acceptable should be 24 based on data and studies. Higher grade levels, you can push the higher seat counts. But will this count be fair across the district? The other area that is often looked at is the number of specials our students have. Are you considering a budget that keeps us competitive with the charter and cyber charter schools? We have made progress, and we have a larger kindergarten class that not as many students in the district are attending, a brick and mortar charter school. But we must reflect on this and determine how and what our leadership must keep so that we do not fall to a large amount of students attending charter or cyber charter schools. Sarah Burns of Baden, PA. One question that I do have about the upcoming school year is, how will Ambridge adjust their regular schedule in classrooms based on the coronavirus in the fall? PA Department of Education has made a statement that things will need to change in the schools for the fall. The department will release different options in the near future for school districts to analyze and pick. If the rumor about furloughing teachers and increasing class sizes is true, how does that fit into the plan of the PA Department of Education, as well as help our students and teachers remain healthy in the fall? Without understanding the different options outlined by the PA Department of Education for the fall, why are we curtailing 17 teachers right now? This seems like a rash decision to be making at this time when the school district does not understand the options for keeping students and teachers safe in the fall. With the curtailments, many elementary teachers will be let go. Therefore, the younger kids will be at a greater risk for viruses. And most importantly, the ratio of teacher to student in the classroom will increase. This also includes only having one kindergarten teacher at Economy Elementary, one of the youngest age classrooms where germs and colds will spread the quickest. How are we going to keep our younger children safe with these larger class sizes, and how are they going to get the attention needed in the classroom for learning? Brenda Protulapak, Economy Borough. I am concerned about the class size for 6th grade next year. Jessica Bruno in Ambridge. My child is a diabetic and in the high school. They are planning to get rid of the high school nurse. I know she is retiring, but to not have a permanent nurse that is familiar with the children's conditions and needs is very irresponsible. If we have just an agency who sends whomever they have available, how do they know what our children need? For example, my child is a type 1 diabetic. With a dedicated school nurse, the nurse understands that there are times their sugar is high due to hormone changes. There are times it is low due to other circumstances. And our children have to have someone they can trust to talk about their conditions and know they are going to get the care they need and deserve. We need a dedicated school nurse in our schools, in all of our schools. I have never had an issue with a school nurse for my child, and my child has been diabetic the entire time through school almost. But I'm afraid that if you go with an agency, they won't put the care and commitment into our child's health that is needed. Please get a new permanent school nurse so that we can keep our children healthy and so they have someone to talk about for their health concerns if they arise in school. It is imperative to keep our children healthy. Ms. Sheline was awesome. I would always get calls about my child if something was amiss. I fear that won't be the case if there's not a dedicated school nurse in the building after her retirement. Michelle Wilson, teacher. My name is Michelle Wilson, and I am president of the Ambridge Area Education Association. I have concerns regarding the proposed staffing plans for the 2021 school year. Since the change from the junior high to the middle school model, the middle school has been a building with a higher number of discipline issues. In fact, we have had 6 meetings with the previous superintendent regarding the number and severity of incidents. And furthermore, the association has initiated the meet and discuss provision of the school code to have open dialogue with the school board. Furthermore, the middle school discipline has been a topic of multiple school board meetings over the last 2 years. The board apparently placed these concerns with a level of high importance as they created a new assistant principal position for the middle school at the start of the current school year. Decreasing staff in this building does not seem to be a sound educational decision. While it sounds nice to say we are making class sizes equal, it is not a simple undertaking. Comparing the movement of students at the elementary level to the transition of students to the middle school is not a fair comparison. As students transition to the middle school, 5th grade students from all elementary buildings are experiencing the transition with their entire peer group. The movement of individual students from one elementary to another is not comparable. Students are removed from their peer groups and the staff support system in place. The relationships students build with their peers and the staff is a key part of development and the elementary experience. The last 2 years, enrollment has increased in the district. This is the first time an increase in enrollment has occurred since the opening of Baden Academy. The board is undermining the progress the district has made the last 3 years with their staffing decisions. The district's proposed action will have ramifications on the students. Educating children is not comparable to running a business. The way in which these cuts are being made, we believe, will have a direct negative impact on undermining the educational foundation of our students. Thank you for your time. Brenda Pucci, Baden, PA. I don't know what the right answer is, but this one doesn't feel right. Have we thought this through? I mean, all the way through. So many questions have already come up. I feel decisions have been made by people who did not think to ask those that are affected. First, for example, the car situation brings up a couple of different issues. I believe we're speaking about graduation right now. Do all senior families have a car or access to a car to get their child to the school to participate in the ceremony? If not, have other arrangements been made for these families without putting the spotlight on them? Some seniors have divorced parents or parents who are not married. With that, they have not been in quarantine together. This graduation is being put together to follow the COVID-19 crisis guidelines, so I feel you should follow them. People should not be forced into a car with an ex-husband or ex-wife to see their child graduate. There should be at least a 2-car maximum for this case. Masks will not protect a person alone. The only parent and one parent should not be forced to watch it on the live stream. Why can a professional photographer be outside to take my kid's picture, but I can't? Again, here is an example of us not following COVID-19 crisis guidelines. I am sure these professional pictures will be for sale later somewhere on the website, right? What would happen to me if I get out of my car and take a picture of my son? Will you find me? Will you have me arrested? I mean, I've been near my son this whole time. You guys haven't. Why can't I be the one taking this picture? Those ridiculous questions were just to prove a point. Other schools are including parents. Why are you excluding Ambridge parents? Moving forward in the email, you stated that the school will attempt to have a traditional graduation ceremony. Why not use the words will have? A traditional ceremony with when restrictions are lifted. If restrictions are lifted, why would there only be an attempt to have one? Why wouldn't we definitely have one? There is more time. I feel it's time to go back to the drawing board on this one. Listen to the people, listen to the seniors, and just not 1 or 2 seniors, all of them. Ambridge, you have been failing these seniors since the COVID crisis started. The community has stepped up and adopted them and has been trying to comfort them and make them feel special. It's time for you to show them you care, that you actually care for them. Not just a few of them, not just the ones going to college, all of them. The poor ones, the rich ones, the white ones, the black ones, the brown ones, the smart ones, the special needs ones, all of them. I really hope you are listening to the community, the parents, especially the seniors. Proud parent of a 2020 senior. To Brina Settlemeyer from Baden. As a parent of 2 students at Economy Elementary School, I have had the privilege to work with the teachers and faculty to produce the best possible learning activities for my children. Now that we have entered the COVID-19 era, I have learned that the same individuals to assist my children's continued studies. I have leaned on those same individuals to assist my children's continued studies. Knowing that I have the support of these essential and caring people has made the homeschooling journey far easier than I had expected. I can say without a doubt that the teachers have not stopped working during this uneasy time. They have, from what I have witnessed, worked harder, as now they are teaching the parents too. It takes a village to raise children. Our teachers and faculty are at the core of those efforts, and our children would suffer a tremendous loss to remove any of them from their lives. Please reconsider a staff reduction from our schools. We need our teachers and faculty now more than ever. Thank you kindly for your consideration. James Uar, Ambridge. Can the school board tell me if any administrators are getting money for healthcare or free healthcare from the Ambridge community after they retire? Thank you. Ray Ann and Scott Smedley. From Baden, I feel the need to express my concerns for the adjustments that are being proposed to eliminate classes and restructure our district, leading to increased class sizes. This is not the time for this. In a time where so many events are being canceled to keep people apart and social distancing is our current way of life, I urge you to reconsider our student. My daughter has an autoimmune disease. She sometimes has to take medicine to suppress her immune system. This leaves her super susceptible to catching everything. I would like you to consider what will happen when her classroom is increased by 6 to 8 more students. I know she is not the only student in our district that struggles to get through flu season. Thank you for your time and your dedication to our community. Lori Young, Baden, PA. I am writing out of concern to the board's proposed to eliminate teacher and staff positions across the district. It is my understanding that our classes, at least at the elementary level, already have more students than those in the surrounding areas. Benefits of smaller class sizes include individualized attention to students, increased participation, improved attention to task, higher achievement, and better communication. Center-based learning implemented to meet students' needs at their individual levels is particularly important when building foundational skills. How are teachers expected to provide such opportunities if academic and behavioral support staff pairings are eliminated? Academics aside, I'm really saying this to our school board. When our children return to school, they will be doing so following an abrupt removal from the classroom and a 5-month absence. This may be a difficult transition for them. They need the teachers and support staff now more than ever. Finally, our county remains in red according to the governor's plan. We do not know what the state of our world will become the start of the next school year. Increasing class sizes when social distancing is the norm is at best negligent. Please vote against eliminating these positions. Thank you. Joyce Healy, you have proposed the curtailment of approximately 21 positions, most of which are classroom teachers or academic coaches. As an Ambridge Area School District taxpayer, I find this proposal unacceptable. I don't see any proposed changes to the technology department. You have also proposed the purchase of iPads and laptops, yet the public was told that existing tech was not updated and functioning and could not be used for the COVID-19 response. If the technology department was not ready to distribute existing technology, how will they be able to manage over $700,000 worth of new technology? Brandy Dornetto, Baden, PA. To whom it may concern, part 1, I am writing on behalf of my daughter and her kindergarten teacher. I suppose this would stand for not only my daughter's teacher and the kindergarten team, but each faculty member. It has been brought to my attention that there may be possibility of staff and or faculty cuts in our school, and that has not sat well with me. And if you have children in our district, it should not sit well with you. This was my daughter's first year in public school, and she absolutely loved it. My daughter had Ms. Cray, and she has been such a blessing this year. My daughter comes home so excited and tells me everything she learned from Ms. Cray, and that she wants to be a teacher when she grows up. She and I both cried when school was canceled due to COVID-19. This may have been some students' first years, for some their last, and some in between. We all matter. Our teachers matter no matter what age our child is. While I understand things are very different and these are uncharted territories, we as a community or superintendent cannot make rash decisions that involve the future of our children and those who have been working very hard. Even in these crazy times, to continually teach, answer many parents' questions, make Zoom meetings to their students just to see their face and just to make life a little brighter for our kids. For the upcoming school year, we still are unclear of the immediate future with the virus and what its restrictions will entail. We should not be making decisions to cut jobs. I think just the opposite should happen. I believe that we will need more teachers and support staff. We may be advised to have smaller class sizes to conform to social distancing number ratios, which would mean more teachers to teach those classes. I also believe that we must supply as a district correct support staff for emotional health. These children need to talk to someone about what they are going through, which in turn can affect their schoolwork and behavioral health, especially for those who have been in unhealthy home environments and have been under the stay-at-home order for 60+ days. Even with teachers currently doing everything in their power to teach our kids and continuing their education the best they can to prevent severe backsliding of topics they learned this year, I would anticipate students will likely need extra time and support to review material once returning. Cutting any staff members will not help our students. Our children thrive and achieve to get them to where they need to be. They are the future and they should not be be where we cut costs, period. History is being made as we speak. Please let these great people continue to teach our children, whether it's from a kindergarten teacher to a special needs aide to a history teacher teaching about what's happening right this moment. Please let them continue to make an impact on this future generation. Every position has a huge role and should not be overlooked during this time or feel they are expendable. In addition to a kindergarten parent, I'm a special needs parent. My son will be attending the school in the future, and I hear that there is a possibility that the special needs staff or staff support may be cut. Those aides are more crucial than ever with or without COVID-19. As a parent of a child with special needs, that has me concerned about my son's future and how you can help him succeed. I have an entire team behind my son and could not do it alone. You cannot expect a teacher with an entire class to do it alone. There are so many different challenges and circumstances a special needs student faces. You cannot put them in one category in one room with one teacher and say, do your best. You must equip them with the right tools and materials needed to have that child reach success. That includes aides, staff supports, I think it's IEPs that are read, and TSS that can come into the classroom to support their student. These children are the brightest and most empathetic, most caring children you will meet. Some may take a little longer time learning than others. Some may see things backwards, and some may have a hard time sitting still and focusing for a long period of time. Some can have processing disorder or all of the above. In order to teach these children correctly in an environment they can thrive in, we must have the correct amount of staff to do so. Limiting staff in this area will only harm the students and bring frustration on the existing staff, guaranteed. Now I'm faced with not only the uncertainty of what school will look like when my daughter returns in 2021 school year, and will she get to say goodbye to her favorite teachers she has been asking for all spring, but now I'm asking, can this school district handle special needs education? Are they equipped and know how to proceed in this area? It is certainly not an area to cut, but to have extra help, patience, compassion, grace, and more patience. With less staff in that room, will they notice if my son has an absent seizure if the teacher's back is to the class while at the whiteboard? Working in the education field myself for the past 5 years, I have worked with plenty of different students. Special needs students often have TSS, therapeutic support staff, or an aide to assist them in completing their work. I know how challenging at times and how rewarding it can be firsthand. You can see how much of a great impact it makes on a student when the aide is present versus when the aide is absent that day. I cannot imagine an entire school year without that aide or support staff to assist. If any of this hearsay is true about cutting employees, I would like to ask why. Is this decision based on solely their performance review? Is it financially the district cannot afford their income? Is the school able to apply for a loan if necessary rather than cutting employees who have been working effortlessly? Maybe the district should reevaluate where all the funds are being distributed. I know a lot of parents were upset that all the surrounding schools got electronic devices for distance learning while ours did not, yet we pay some of the highest taxes. In conclusion, please remember these are people's lives your decisions will affect, that our children and those that help them succeed. The task of the modern educator is not to cut down jungles, but to irrigate deserts. C.W. Lewis. Thank you for your time and consideration in your decision making. And that concludes the documents that I have received so
Okay.
far.
Thank you, Mr. McClausland, for reading those. Dr. Pascarilla, do you want to make a few comments?
Yes, thank you. First of all, I'd like to begin by congratulating all. Wish I would shake your hands, but in this time of social distancing, I just want to reach out to them, and I hopefully they're listening. If not, they hear I'm very, very proud of all the honors that you received at the beginning of the meeting. What a great way to start. So thank you for that. Next, I'd like to just speak a little bit about some of the concerns. I may not touch on all of them in detail. In general, I want to start off by saying we've had a significant decline in enrollment in the Ambridge Area School District over the past 10 years. So we had to look at addressing that enrollment as compared to our staffing. So that's why you'll see some of the recommendations. There's been a lot of talk about class size in and around some of the questions. I will say that in some cases at the middle school, for an example, we will be looking at allowing our 7th and 8th grade teachers to be able to teach 6th grade students in a middle school model. And that will gain some of the periods, using 7 periods when necessary. Having our teachers teach 7 periods. We do have some language in the contract for that. At the elementary schools, we're looking at balancing those. School to balance those class sizes, but we're looking to try to do that in an appropriate way. And I think that they will be manageable. At the high school level, many of the way it looks at it, we look at the man tallies, as was mentioned at one time, and we look at the number of sections that that can be offered. They often don't split quite as even in the high school level. That being said, I think that we are offering all of our core classes, almost all of our electives that we have had offered before. We do look at ones that have very low student enrollment to decide whether frequently. We are offering all of our AP courses, and many of our classrooms are going to be right in range that I think is more than manageable for our staff. You have some that might reach the upper 20s and such like that.
Joe, excuse me, Joe. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can you repeat the elementary portion as you were cutting out? I'm getting some messages here.
Okay, I appreciate you letting me know that. I was finding that too. So if it's okay, I'll just try to talk slower, and maybe that will help. And so it may sound a little choppy, but that's on purpose. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
Okay. What I said is that we will be looking to have our class sizes addressed by looking at moving students possibly from Highland, as an example, to State Street. We have lower numbers at State Street. Did you hear that?
Yes, I did hear that.
Okay. So I know this is a little choppy, but I'll try to talk slower. So at the elementary school, one example would be to look at as one and look at how we may, working with transportation, ask our elementary principals to move some students and their siblings, if necessary, to a different elementary school to address the class size difference there. At the middle school, I think I shared, I hope they heard that. I'll try again. What I said there was that in a middle school model, our 7th and 8th grade teachers can take on classes at the 6th grade level to help balance and take on some of those sections. At the high school level, I did share that we are offering all of our AP courses and a majority, if not all of the electives that were offered before. Each year, administration does look at every high school to see whether or not there are enough students to run a given elective. That many of the class sizes are in the mid-20s, lower 20s. There are a few spots at the high school where you're going to be in the upper 20s. So that is a possibility. But that I felt at this given point that those are manageable numbers, and that I will continue to review those numbers as we progress. And if I do see an issue, because each situation in each classroom is different, I would bring that to the board, including kindergarten numbers. That being said, somebody else mentioned nursing services. Although I cannot guarantee right now, you will see on our agenda that our intent is to have a full-time nurse there. It's just in a different bargaining unit. Yes, if we can't attain a nurse, would we need to use an outsourced nurse until we find an employee? That may be the case, but myself, as my recommendation to the board, is to have a consistent nurse there, and we will work hard to try to find a qualified person to offer stable nursing services to fill the gap for the retirement there.
Okay, is that all, Dr. Joe?
I think so at this point. I hope they were able to hear me and it came across.
Okay, thank you. And on behalf of the board, I will just touch a little bit on graduation. We thank you for your comments and concerns in regards to graduation. We realize the seniors were afforded less time to enjoy the remainder of their senior year, and we are all sympathetic to their situation. Many of us on the board have children, grandchildren, and relatives that are affected as well. We communicated a graduation plan and parade for June 5th and 6th to all senior families. We'll move forward with the plan we have in place with a reminder that if and when the governor lifts the guidelines for large gatherings, we will certainly provide a traditional ceremony at a later date. You can reach out to Ms. Zupsik at jzupsik@ambridge.k12.pa.us with any inquiries. We will adhere to the governor's guidelines and proceed with the plan that is in place. Thank you.
Would you like me?
Hey, Doug.
We have some other chats. I did turn off the chat briefly. I just wanted to remind people, if you're going to put a question in the chat, to please state where you're from as well, so that we have it for the minutes. So your name pops up, but it would be helpful if you would just include your residence as well. So appreciate that. So I'll turn the chat back on if you have things you want to add. We have a few out there. The first one came from Adriana Cephas. Dr. Pascarilla, are you willing to take a pay cut to allow more teachers to stay and continue educating our students in the best safe way, social distance way? The next one is from, it says Jennifer, why are so many of the cuts at Highland Elementary? And I think Sandy Kowal or Roger Kowal Economy, explain item number 1, education and technology. Also costs associated with this. I'm not sure what that is. Let me look. I believe that's the Adelphi Education Services Agreement he's referring to. I'm not familiar with that. I don't know if Mr. King can address that question or not.
I can address that one.
Okay.
The Adelphi agreement, if that's what is there. Adelphi originally was an institution that primarily provided alternative. Let me talk slower. I apologize. Adelphi is a group that primarily used to offer alternative education. And now they're opening up a special education program. Our special education director, along with others in the county, feel that this is going to be an excellent program that is going to be great for our students as a potential opportunity that will be closer in the county to reduce transportation, both in the sense of the child riding there and cost. And it may even be a more affordable option for a better education or similar education to other programs. At this given point, this is just saying pending the review of the solicitor, it will serve as another opportunity for IEP teams and parents to make a decision as to whether or not they would like to send their children to this program as well. We don't have a student signed up, and cost, the way I understand it as it was described to me, may be on a per day usage as compared to a slot for the year or the half year. So it seems like something that, you know, we at least want to approve in case one of our parents and students would fit the Adelphi program. and we want to have that approved and looked at. So that's the answer at this given point. There's no exact cost right now because we're not approving the fact that anyone's going there. But if they chose to go there, much like other institutions that we send kids, then there would be a cost.
Okay. Next question asks, how do you plan to handle the CDC recommendations for kids to return to school if you are cutting teachers? Does anyone want to add anything there? Or
I would just add, in general, I mean, I've erred on the side of safety, and I will continue to do that. We'll see what the CDC recommendations are at the given time, and then we'll have to develop a plan as a district as to how we will keep our students safe. So that's my answer to that. I don't think there is a specific plan laid out. I know they are working on that, or I've heard workings on that from PDE, but I haven't heard the exact protocols of what the guidelines are going to be at this given point for the districts in our county.
Next question, how is it fair to students who have planted themselves within an elementary school? I'm not sure
I guess that's the question, because I had said in elementary school we would move students from one elementary to another to possibly balance class sizes. So this is something that does occur occasionally when you have neighborhood schools. And when you have neighborhood schools, in order to balance those class sizes effectively, sometimes you do have to ask students to move based upon transportation runs.
It's like I have Michelle Wilson. I would like to begin with the previous budget presentation. During the April budget presentation, data was presented showing a decline in student enrollment starting in the 11-12 school year. What was not included with this data was the declining number of teaching staff during this time. In 2010-11 school year, the district employed 207 teaching staff. Currently, the district employs 182 teaching staff. During the time the district displayed a decline in student enrollment, a decline in teaching staff took place. At the high school, cuts were being made to the business education department. This is a cause for concern, as a plan was recently created to address gaps identified by the state concerning the district's Chapter 339 plan. The Pennsylvania Department of Education plan required to prepare and expose students to future potential and unknown careers based off of their interest and aptitude. The decrease in staffing in the business education department will not support the success, and it cuts off there.
Briefly to answer
I'll
that.
just- Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead, Dr. Pascarella.
That was going to be a new program that they were looking to run. We, in talking with Mr. King and other administration, we were successful in being able to address the career indicators that were set forth by the state for our students. So I do feel that we will continue to work and plan with our staff to make sure that we hit those indicators in our social studies classes and other classes where we feel that they fit within the curriculum. So I feel that we will be able to do that.
I just want to make a comment that, you know, when we have our meetings in person, people get one chance to speak. So I want to make sure that all the residents have a chance, and all the people that have asked questions have a chance to ask those questions. I've seen several people who submitted written statements that had their statements read that are now typing questions. So Mr. McCausland, if you can please scroll up and get the questions from people and the comments who did not have a chance to speak previously in a written statement, so that the board can see those, I would really appreciate that.
I will try. I don't even, I mean, I have a rather long list of people who I read statements from, so I'm not even sure if I remember them all. I think Brenda might have been one, but she's asking if you can tell her more about the plan for 7th and 8th grade teachers to teach 6th grade classes.
I think that we just need to make sure that if we read statements before, that we give other people an opportunity as we would if we were in person. Online doesn't mean free for all.
And just for a little point of information, something I did want to point out in regards to Michelle Wilson and her comments. Ambridge area student enrollment right now is around 2,300. And in comparison to a few other districts that are similar at our level, Central Valley is comparable, Blackhawk is comparable, and I can give you our teacher ratio is at 182, Central Valley is at 162, Blackhawk is at 163, administration at Ambridge is at 15, Central Valley is at 9, Blackhawk is at 11. So just to give a little information out there in comparison as to where we are with other districts, just to give a little point of information. Thank you.
A lot of these still are dealing with class sizes. Stephanie is asking what is considered manageable in terms of class size at the K through 2 level. Our numbers are higher than all neighboring schools unless additional teachers are added. April is saying from economy, is there going to be electives offered at the high school so my senior does not have to waste her time in 2 to 3 study halls per semester because she was already taken all the electives the school offers currently?
Finish that comment, Doug, and then we are actually at 40+ minutes on our area for this public comment.
Okay.
And some of these items aren't agenda items. So we will be moving on to our committee reports.
Okay.
Thank everybody for their concern and comments.
We do have your chat comments, and I'm sure people could follow up if you have other concerns to reach out to the administration. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. McLeod.
Pull the agenda up.
Okay. Be moving on to committee reports. Thank you. Okay, moving on to education and technology, Ms. Trimber.
Sorry about that. Okay.
It's all right.
Item number 1, we have Adelphi Education Service Agreement. It is recommended to approve an agreement with Adelphi Education Incorporated to provide special educational services on behalf of the Ambridge Area School District, subject to final solicitor review and revision. Okay.
Dr. Pascarella, I do have a question about this. Do we have a per student cost? And also, is this an alternative to Class Academy? Is that what we're looking at that as potentially?
My understanding is that was their original programming, but they have now expanded and they're going to be offering specific special education programming. And my conversation with the special education department, much like, as an example, you may have Watson, other special education placements for students who need those types of services. The idea that was brought to me from our special education, our pupil personnel service director, was that one, this would be closer in our community for transportation. 2, instead of paying for the slot for the year, they're saying that they would only charge us for the days actually used. So if the child was absent, we wouldn't be billed. That's what she had reported to me. So no one is actually in this program at this time. This is going to be new programming, and it's just another option that we have. We have agreements with our institutions. Quite frankly, it's an IEP team decision as to what program they choose. So it doesn't mean parents or students will be forced into this program. It just means this will be another options for districts and IEP teams and parents to consider.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions? Okay. Do we need to vote on this now?
No, we're going to go through your whole list.
Okay. Item number 2 is the service agreement renewal. It is recommended the service agreement with Associated Occupational Therapy Incorporated be renewed for the 2020-2021 school year as per the option 1 fee schedule. Item number 3 is the field trip. It's recommended to rescind the Steel Drum Band field trip to Ocean City, Maryland from June 15th through June 19th, 2020, approved at the October 16th, 2019 board meeting. And item number 4, it is recommended to rescind the high school marching band field trip to Cedar Point, June 2nd. It was approved at the February 19th, 2020 board meeting. Okay, I can't see. Is there more underneath there?
Can you see? Doug, can you move? Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Participation in the Ambridge Area School District graduation ceremony. It is recommended that the following JROTC cadets who participated in the district's JROTC program be permitted to participate in the graduation ceremony, not be receiving a diploma from the district. We have Bradley DeLon from Aliquippa School District, Eric Smith from Aliquippa School District, and Logan Digmiller from Rochester School District. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Megan.
Okay. And
Items. Go ahead.
is everyone in agreement with items 1 through 5?
We need
I'll-
a second. Do we
I'll
do we have a
second that.
second?
Yes, I will second that.
Thank you, Mrs. Mylan. Any discussion on any of the
Thank you.
items? Thank you. Pardon, did somebody say something? No? Okay. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angus,
Yes.
Miss Gill,
Yes.
Miss Gill, Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan,
Yes.
Miss Pedigo,
Yes.
Miss Trimber,
Yes.
Miss Young,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to finance and budget, Ms. Pedigo.
Thank you, Mrs. President. I have 7 items to review this evening. I'm going to go through each item and then we will move for their adoption. Item number 1 and 2 are our regular monthly bills and salaries for the school district and for the cafeteria. Any discussion? Okay. Item number 3, account fund 81 student activity. It's recommended $635.75 be paid from the account fund 81 student activity. Any discussion? Okay, number 4, proposed final budget for the 2021 school year. It's recommended to approve the proposed final general operating fund budget for the 2020 and 2021 fiscal year with revenues of $49,345,128 and expenditures of $51,698,249. The budget will utilize $2,353,121 of fund balance in order to meet operational expenditures. The millage increase is 0 mills. And I just wanted to make a note here before I open it up for discussion. Tonight, this is up for approval. However, this is not the final budget. We have 30 days to approve the proposed final general operating budget. It is still subject to change, and we anticipate voting on it in the June meeting. Any discussion?
Mr. McCausland, just for clarification also, is the budget presentation from April still on the school district's website in case anybody would like that for reference?
It is still there, but we will be putting the revised budget up on the website tomorrow after you approve this. So it'll be accessible to the public tomorrow morning when we post it. So they'll get to see the latest version of the budget that you're approving tonight.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Mylan and Mr. McCausland. Number 5, Life and Ltd Insurance. It's recommended to approve the appointment of Hillendale Associates, Inc. as the broker of record for life and long-term disability insurance and award the contracts for life and long-term disability insurance to American United Life, a One America company, effective July 1st, 2020, at an estimated cost of $19,713. This represents an estimated savings of 25%, or $1,732 for these 2 policies. Any discussion? Okay. Item number 6, Resolution 2020-2021-7, Real Estate Tax Installment Payments for 2020-2021. It's recommended to approve the resolution, Real Estate Tax Installment Payments for 2020 and 2021, to authorize the collection and payment of school real estate property taxes in installments, excluding any interim or delinquent school real estate property taxes. And I just wanted to make a note that the new plan that's going to be voted upon this evening is moving from 3 installments to 5 installments. And this is in an effort to provide relief to our community members and taxpayers. Any discussion?
Ms. Pedigo, and that will begin and run from July until November, is that correct?
Mr. McCausland, will you review the
That is
payments,
correct.
please?
It'll take effect with the 2021 tax year, which starts July 1. So installments will be able to be made August through December.
Okay.
Thank you.
And finally, thanks, Mrs. Mylan. Number 7, technology purchase. It's recommended to authorize the purchase of new technology equipment, including iPads and laptops, by state contracted pricing, either through a lease or direct purchase for the 2020 and 2021 school year at a total cost not to exceed $750,000 for equipment and ancillary devices. Utilize existing inventory and new purchases, with the overall goal being to move towards a one-to-one initiative for students. Okay, any discussion on item number 7? Okay, so Mrs. President, I move for the adoption of items number 1 through 7.
Thank you, Ms. Pedigo. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
Thank you, Mr. Angus. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angus,
Yes.
Ms. Gill,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan,
Yes.
Ms. Pedigo,
Yes.
Ms. Trimber,
Yes.
Ms. Young,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to building and grounds, Mr. Angus.
There are no items for discussion or voting this evening.
Thank you. Athletics, Mr. Campbell.
Nothing to report.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Moving on to public relations, we have nothing this evening. Steering and rules, Mrs. Kehoe.
I have no voting items this evening.
Thank you. Legislative, Ms. Young.
Nothing to report at this time.
Okay. Salary schedule and labor relations, Mrs. Mylan.
I have one item this evening. It is a memorandum of understanding, and it is recommended to hereby approve the memorandum of understanding between the Ambridge Area School District and the Ambridge Area Education Association relating to high school duty period payments for the 2018-2019 and 2019-2020 school years as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Thank you. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angus,
Yes.
Ms. Gill,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan,
Yes.
Ms. Pedigo,
Yes.
Ms. Trimber,
Yes.
Ms. Young,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to personnel, Mr. Angus.
We have several items this evening. The first item being the Act 93 positions. It is recommended to eliminate the following positions effective June 30th, 2020. That would be the Director of Pupil Services, the Business Manager / Transportation / Security Director, the Facilities Manager, and the Athletic Director. It is under item B. It's also further recommended to authorize the creation of the following positions for the 2021 school year and open the same to qualified applicants. That would be the Director of Special Education and the Athletic and Transportation Director. Is there any discussion on item number 1? Okay, moving on. Item number 2 would be the 2020-2021 district course and section adjustments. It's recommended to hereby approve the following curtailments at the close of the 2019-2020 school year. Item number 1 is Ambridge Area High School English teacher. Number 2, Ambridge Area High School Mathematics teacher / Ambridge Area Middle School BCIT teacher. Number 3 is the Ambridge Area High School BCIT teacher. Number 4 is the Ambridge Area High School librarian. Number 5 is the Ambridge Area High School nurse. Number 6 is the Ambridge Area Middle School 6th grade reading teacher. Number 7 is the Ambridge Area Middle School 6th grade English teacher. Number 8 is the Ambridge Area Middle School 6th grade science / social studies teacher. Number 9 is Economy Elementary kindergarten teacher. Number 10 is Economy Elementary academic and behavior coach. Number 11 is the Highland Elementary academic and behavior coach. Number 12 is Highland Elementary kindergarten teacher. Number 13 is Highland Elementary first grade teacher. 14 is Highland Elementary third grade teacher. 15 is Highland Elementary fourth grade teacher. 16 is Highland Elementary fifth grade teacher. And 17 is the State Street Elementary academic and behavioral coach. Part B of that, it's also recommended to hereby approve the following alterations to the 2021 school year. That would be to add an Ambridge Area High School BCIT / Ambridge Area Middle School BCIT. Number 2 would be an Ambridge Area Middle School 6th grade all subject areas. Number 3 would be a Highland Elementary 2nd grade. Number 4 is a Highland Elementary academic intervention teacher. Number 5 is a Highland Elementary academic intervention teacher. And number 6 is a State Street Elementary academic intervention teacher. Any discussion on item number 2?
This is for Dr. Pascarella and also Mr. King. Obviously, there has been a lot of questions around our personnel. Can you provide clarification for everyone about the movement of the academic behavior coaches to the academic intervention teacher?
Yes, so the change in the positions is something that they're looking to do, intervention specialist position. And the reason behind that is it's going to focus, quite frankly, on providing interventions in those buildings and small group instruction. We had some response intervention periods in place prior. I know there are some time built into the schedule and talking with some of the elementary principals now. And so it's going to be looking to try to have those new staff positions that have been created to help teachers remediate and enrich students in small groups as possible in those buildings.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr.
Anything else on? Okay.
Go ahead,
Item
Mr.
number
Angus.
3. Thank you. Item number 3, classified employees. It is recommended to authorize the creation of an hourly nurse for the 2021 school year. Number 4 would be an FMLA leave. It's recommended to approve employee 2616 taking a leave of absence under board policy 435, family and medical leave, retroactive to May 5th, 2020, and not to exceed 12 weeks. Number 5 is a retirement. It's recommended to approve the resignation due to retirement of Marion Dodsworth, a teacher at State Street Elementary, effective June 5th, 2020, with regret. Number 6 is also a retirement. It is recommended to approve the resignation due to retirement of Chris Pedakakis, a teacher at Economy Elementary, effective June 5th, 2020, with regret. Number 7 is long-term disability. It is recommended to approve a PEASER's long-term disability leave of absence for employee 1563, effective May 15, 2020 through May 15, 2021. And the final item is boys basketball coach. It is recommended to approve Eric Astorino as the varsity boys basketball head coach at a salary of $6,000 for the 2021 school year, pending receipt of current clearances, satisfactory drug screening, TB testing, and responses by current and former employers to the Act 168 screening. That completes the items, and I would make a motion to accept them as presented.
No other discussion, any other questions? Okay, do we have a second? I apologize.
I will second.
Mr. Angus, I apologize. Thank you. Can I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Mr. Angus? Ms. Gill?
Yes.
Repeat that, please, Ms. Gill.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan?
Yes.
Ms. Pedigo?
Yes.
Ms. Trimber?
Yes.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Moving on to the Solicitors Report.
I have no items for the board's consideration this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Turnbull. The Superintendent's Report, Dr. Pasquarello.
Sorry, as I said earlier, just congratulations to all of our students. Very, very proud of them.
Thank you. It is now time for old and new business. Any district resident who desires to comment on any business relevant to the Ambridge Area School District should now come forward. Each person must state their first and last name and address prior to speaking. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes and can speak only once.
Okay, I will turn back on the chat feature.
Thank you.
Okay. Lisa Patton from Economy, is Highland getting 2 AIT, but Economy is getting 0? Is Highland getting 2, but Economy getting 0? Does anyone want to respond to that? I don't.
At this given point, that, at the point, that is correct.
Okay. Looks like Lauren Metz. How are you going to save money with transporting kids to a different school? Also, when trauma is a huge issue for students, what are you going to do when behaviors increase by moving students from their home building when a rapport has been established and behaviors have decreased, let alone the stress of this pandemic? Jen Kemzelski, Economy, why are all the cuts at Highland? Karen, National Science Teachers Association recommends science classes to be less than 24 students. If there are over 24 students, we will be in violation. Megan Clark and Ambridge, why is Highland getting all the cuts? Nancy of Economy, if work now is being bonused to Q3, what are you doing for grades in Q4? My question was not addressed regarding my concern, the English department at the high school. Please explain how you can justify cutting an English teacher when they bring in funding through state testing. This is the 3rd time I have asked this question.
I don't know, Doug, if you want me to jump in, Mr.
No, go ahead. I mean, anytime you want to jump in, just.
Yeah, I'll just, a couple things there. I don't think there's state funding particularly tied to, testing, but it is important to the person, so I want to make sure I answer that. It is important. We will be looking at offering, many of the teachers in the English department will probably be teaching 7 periods now. So that's one way that we're going to continue to be able to offer many of the same courses, not completely exactly the same, meaning as far as class size numbers may go, but to try to keep them pretty evenly spaced out, that many of the folks in that department, to be transparent, would be teaching 7, which is okay by the contract at this given point. There's a percentage value of teachers who could teach 7. Going back about, there was some talk about, and I'm not going to hit on all of them, I apologize, but I know there was some talk about transition and trauma. I know we have social workers and teachers, and there are transitions throughout the school district from elementary to middle school to high school. So those transitions do occur. I understand the point, it's well taken. We need to continue, as I know our principals and staff will, to make those students who would be moved to feel welcome and make sure we communicate and try to do our best to address those issues. So I think those were a couple of the points. Thank you.
There's another one here from Grace DeBona at Harmony Township. How will it be possible to teach 4 grades of English at the high school with 4 teachers? Also, how are we justifying the cut of a nurse and facilities manager during a pandemic?
I'll answer the second part. I think I've kind of discussed the English part. The second part, if I heard the part of the question there, was the nurse and the facilities director. So the facilities director will have to be absorbed by, Mr. McClausland, myself, to make sure that we handle those issues. And as far as the nurse goes, as you saw on the agenda tonight, the board did approve a position. We'll have to work to locate the appropriate professional and get them hired from the start of next school year.
I want to just comment for a minute, Doug, or Mr.
Sure, go
McClausland,
ahead.
before. Mr. King, did you or Mr. McClausland put the numbers together on the comparisons for student to teacher ratios for us? I apologize, I don't recall which one of you put it together.
I did.
Okay, do you know, Mr. McClausland, if, does Black Hawk have all-day kindergarten? Are you aware?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Mr. King, are you aware?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, all right. And let me see. I was told Central Valley does only as half day, but Black Hawk does have full day. How about Hopewell? And Beaver, are you aware? I'm just asking, just for clarification.
I am not aware. But we could find out.
Okay. Mr. King, are you aware of either of those?
I'm not sure about Hopewell. I believe Beaver does.
Okay. All right. Thank you both.
Roger Kowal asked, rumor has it you're going to offer teachers a buyout. This was discussed in years past and it was found not beneficial. Explain how this has changed.
Well, I'll speak in generalities, but I won't speak to the specifics, even though I believe we do have a tentative agreement, with the union at this given point until it's official. I'll share the details once they're voted on by both parties. That being said, I think in particular, early retirement incentives, if they're affordable, it depends what you're offering and whether or not you're going to replace the staff. Even if you replace the staff for a beginning teacher, you will see some savings. If you do not replace the teachers, you will see significant savings if you do that through attrition or staff cuts. So I do believe it will be fiscally beneficial for the school system. And I hope that it will also benefit many of the employees and try to keep as many of those who are looking to retire, the ability to retire, and those who are looking who may be furloughed, the ability to come back and work. So I do think it will be fiscally advantageous to the school system.
Melinda Arloff asked,
Joyce
CB
Hurwitz from Ambridge. I'm just wondering, since this is the last board meeting before the live ceremony that you guys have planned for June 6th, are we really going to have no conversation about graduation other than what you have decided stands?
We did have some communication on graduation, and we read a statement that gives all the information that we are providing.
And
So
then
that's all the information you're
adhere,
given.
we will adhere to that plan and the governor's guidelines. And as I mentioned, if the situation changes and guidelines are lifted, we will certainly provide a traditional ceremony for the kids. We as a unified board and administration do not have a problem doing that. Go ahead, Doug. Go ahead, Mr. McCausland. I'm sorry, continue.
CV has half-day kindergarten and no prep. Our staff number is higher because of the increased PF special ed students, low-income students, homelessness in our district. There are many reasons why we are higher staffed than neighboring schools. I guess more of a comment. Adriana Cephas, how will you determine which students stay at Highland and which go? And also, how will you determine which teacher stays?
So the quick answer to that is as we typically do, the elementary principals and Mr. King will be working with, and myself, will be working with the transportation department to try to figure out effective transportation runs that won't add additional runs if possible to be able to move them. As far as the teachers go, that would be per the union contract, their bid as to who would be moved.
Tori Robinson and Ambridge asks, has it been decided if the children are returning back to school in the fall? If not, will all the children have the equipment needed to be homeschooled?
I'll jump in there. Our goal, as I said in the motion there that the board approved, is that our hope is that we will be moving towards device, if not for every child, that will be our goal. If not for every child, for most, and those who need it. We will have to see the guidelines set forth from the government, how to effectively and safely distribute those. And we may have to get creative in how we do that. As far as whether or not we're going to go back or not in the fall, I don't think that's our decision at this given point yet. We're waiting on further guidance from, the governor and Pennsylvania Department of Education. Once we get that information, we'll build a plan accordingly and inform folks as appropriate.
Senior graduation parade, why is there a limit on family members is I guess not getting out of cars? Or why is work optional? There should be mandatory work assignments, and if there is a situation without technology, deal with those one-offs. I have had numerous teachers state in Zoom talks that the work is only optional. This is not setting an education bar.
I can address the family member situation as far as graduation and the parade. After speaking with Ms. Supsik today, we have a limited number of space, and we have approximately 200 graduates. So limiting one car with 4 family members in it is in our best interest. That is why we took that approach, and also social distancing as far as not to have several people out and about at the same time. Go ahead, Mr. McCausland.
Sure. How can you say we have enough English teachers at the high school when you now only have 3 full-time teachers? I do not feel that you have answered the question surrounding the English department. The answer was vague. You keep saying we will have a live ceremony. Is there a reason why we're not planning for it at a later date in July, as other schools are doing? Moon has July 10th, backup rain date July 11th in their stadium, even dependable drive in if they have to. We would love there to be a date so we may plan graduation parties and vacations. Also, you cannot wait until we are in the green to plan a graduation ceremony. I agree that you should be saying you will have a live ceremony and then actually plan it. Thank you.
I apologize. Who was who asked the question? So I
That
can
was from Jessica, or I'm sorry, Sharon Kingerski
Kingerski?
and,
Oh.
and Dayton.
So I'll address Sharon and Jess together, as that's mother and daughter. Jess, I hear your concerns, honey, and we are not ignoring your concerns. We will have that live ceremony, but we have to wait and see. We will move to the other phases that we can plan something, babe. It's just where we are. I don't like it. You don't like it. Nobody on this board likes it. Administration doesn't like it. But honey, that's where we are. We will provide, if and when that is lifted, it will happen. Anybody else on the board have something you want to say about that?
No, I agree. We're definitely going to have something. We're just not going to put a date to it, because then all of a sudden, if the date doesn't happen or something falls underneath it, but our plan is to definitely have something. With Nevin as a graduate for this year, I can definitely say that I'd like to see him have the same opportunity as kids in the past. So we can definitely agree on that we will definitely have something once it happens.
Jamie
Do you
Curry,
guys have a plan?
please, we cannot
ahead.
let you. Please, if you have a
Go
comment,
ahead,
put it
Jim.
in the comments. I can't have everyone speaking at the same time. So we appreciate your comments, but please put them in the chat, and we're going to run down through them.
I just want to say, I thank everybody on the board, the administration, for coming up with a plan that is creative and a way to celebrate the grads. This is obviously not ideal, and just to echo what everybody has said, you know, the two people that just spoke, President Fisher and Mr. Campalong, have immediate family members who are graduating, and so they care about this very much. So I think that it's a creative plan. We'll all look forward to standing out and cheering for everybody in the parade, and then we'll look forward to handing out diplomas when we get to have that actual ceremony. But I think that the talk for graduation is done. We can't do anything until the orders have been lifted, and I'm not sure how many more times we can say it. It's out of our control. But what is in our control, I think that we have put together a creative and good celebratory plan to celebrate our graduates. So I thank everybody for coming up with creative solutions.
Okay.
I just
Jamie?
wanted to take a moment and say, as a new school board member, that was one of the things that I was really looking forward to, was being there at graduation and seeing these students walk across the stage or outside. However, you know, it's very disappointing to me that we can't be there to have this because of COVID-19. You know, several of you, I know several of your children, I watched them grow up. So I just want you to know that we truly, really do care, and we do want to have something, but our hands are tied. We're trying, people. Work with us and try to give us a chance.
Okay, Jamie Curry, Economy Borough. Why did Highland lose a class in every grade except second? Where they gained a class, Highland teachers have been working hard over the last couple to get test scores up, and from what I know, they have raised their scores. Now you are cutting a class at each grade level except second grade and having a higher ratio of students to teachers. How can they be expected to continue to improve test scores with more students in the class? Annette Kyler, please address the reason for not using the football stadium for graduation. That stadium was built for the students in the school, but we can't use it for anything but football, and the team isn't a winning program. JH's iPad, I agree. Teresa has not adequately answered the ELA question. No questions ever get answered. It's the norm. Roger Kowal, Economy, was the paperwork ever filed out to close a school? This would give you another option. There's no, I mean, from what I know, there's really no paperwork to close a school. That just takes board action. Megan at Ambridge, why is the question about Highland being avoided? Why is it that Highland is getting all the cuts? Teresa Aberts.
Let me
go ahead.
Hold on, Mr. McClausland.
Mr. McClausland, I'm sorry. Let me just try again. I thought I did in the beginning, but I'll answer that again. what we're saying here is that if you're looking at the class size numbers by reducing that section at Highland, we would be looking to move some of those students to State Street who have less students currently in their classrooms to try to balance that out. So when you look at why Highland instead of State Street as an example, State Street is primarily a 2-round building, meaning they have 2 sections. So we want to fill that up. And we want to fill those classrooms up to the extent that they're more even with Highland. So that's where the cuts are taking place. That being said, as I repeated before, I'll repeat again, we will be trying to move some of those students to State Street to even those out. And the reason for adding a position at Highland is because those second grade is because those numbers were significantly higher.
Again, I think this is a repeated question. They want you to address the English department question.
Doug, I'm just going to interrupt.
Go
Mr.
ahead.
McClausland, let me just interrupt you for 1 minute as in discussion with the solicitor, maybe we can direct one comment for each person and look for new topics so as to move forward.
Yeah, I think the next couple questions I'll deal with Highland again. Again, the English department, the SAT scores. I think those are similar. Please acknowledge the concerns with graduation instead of ignoring them. I think that has been addressed. I kept trying to address graduation.
And on that topic, Mr. McClausland, excuse me, any other, inquiries in regards to it can be sent to Ms. Zupsik. But we have heard the students and the parents and we are on board with the traditional ceremony. So at some point, when it's released, we are released, it will happen.
Okay, and then there's another one. They don't think it's fair to compare us to Blackhawk and Beaver. We have a completely different demographic.
And that is correct. It's not a comparison. It's a point of information, student to teacher ratio.
Vicky Dibish in economy, if the government decides that the school will not resume in the fall, what actions are being taken to ensure that Ambridge area school district students are keeping up with the education so they do not fall behind? Will the district begin cyber while students are unable to be in the building? And I believe that's part of the purpose that has been addressed already, that we're purchasing that additional technology so that every student may have a device starting the beginning of the next school year. I don't know if Mr. King or Dr. Pascarella has anything to add to that.
Mr. McCausland, I just want to renew my request from before, that I'm seeing lots of repeat questions and things, and then other people who've not had any other questions addressed. If we can please, be respectful of the fact that lots of people are faster typers or whatever, but we've had some statements read and lots of questions from the same people. And I just want to make sure other questions have been addressed, if we can kind of be mindful of that as we go through.
Okay, Bill Metz of Economy. My son is enrolled at Highland next year. At what point will you hire another kindergarten teacher to reduce class size? What number is too high for kindergarten? If it was your child, what is too high?
So I've said this a couple times, each situation will be different. There's not a certain number on the number of students. I need to go in and visit the class and look at that. Right now, our goal would be to look at our kindergarten numbers across the district and try to balance those to the best of our ability.
Okay, I'm not sure. I'm going to refer to our solicitor, but I'm getting, most of these questions are repeats about graduation. Can
you address?
And the reductions. I mean, I don't know what we can say that hasn't been said to address those concerns, but how do you want me to handle this? There's still almost 40 messages out there.
And they continue to come in, right? So. And
they continue to come in.
From my clock, it appears that this group chat has been open for approximately 21 minutes. I think we could do two things. I think one, I think it's fair to close the chat and to try to go through this. Just otherwise, it just continues to pile on and get bigger. The other thing I think we need to be mindful of is that the Sunshine Law requires the public's participation and seeks it out very specifically about agenda items prior to the board's consideration and vote. So this secondary public comment, it's important for the administration and for the board relative to feedback. And certainly I think the chat can be made available in its written format to the board and to the administration and to others once the meeting adjourns. But this is not a legally required component of our meeting. So I think with those two things in mind, it would be appropriate to disable the chat, to seek out, to give Mr. McCausland a moment to see if he can find some more unique topics rather than individual voices. See if there's any more of those that we can provide, and then encourage the public to continue to reach out to your administration and board members outside the context of the public meeting to continue to express your concerns, questions, and in those opportunities of support.
I do have a question, but I'm not sure it's appropriate for public discussion. It regards a personnel matter that's being asked by the media. I don't know whether you can see the item, Megan, but I'm not sure this is something I should be addressing.
Well, so it's written, and I think we're referring to, I'm assuming we're referring to the Beaver County Inn proprietor has placed a message, I think several times over in the group chat. Some of this is comment, some of it is question. Those items that relate to a personnel matter, I don't think are necessarily, I would advise that the board not respond specifically to those portions. To the extent that there are questions here about what standards are in place for determining which students are in most need of technology, and I'm assuming that is moving forward with a potential continuity of education plan that in the fall that does not include 100% in-class instruction. I think that's a more general question. The board's welcome to address this if they wish, but I think those portions relating to our employee, Ms. Mysick, would not be appropriate at this time.
I would like to say that I think that our board and our district is, and I've said this before, that we are in the best position to determine our students who have need. Again, having access to internet to even say that you have a need is from a place of privilege, because not all of our students even have that. We have a significant number of students who are homeless, who are food insecure, and who have a lot of other concerns. I talked to some of our administrators over the weekend, as a matter of fact, for the outreach opportunities our folks are doing. They're making phone calls, they're going to people's houses. Again, I applaud them, which is what I said before, and I'm gonna say it again. I applaud the work of the people in our district taking care of all of our students. As a board member, I'm just gonna say, as school board members, we're required to undergo training as to conflicts of interest and other ethical considerations. I am utterly disgusted by even the appearance of impropriety, as I have demonstrated since my time on the board. I will not speak for others, but I am deeply troubled by actions which at a minimum appear to be a conflict of interest. And that's what I'm gonna say. I don't think conflicts of interest are acceptable or appropriate in any fashion, and perception is reality. So I just wanted to make sure, since the comments were made, that is certainly my stance, and it's that of many of my fellow board members.
Mrs. Gill, we're having a really hard time hearing you.
Okay, did you hear me at all?
Parts of it, but.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say, it came up about conflicts of interest. Can you hear me better now, Doug?
You're going in and out. It's really hard to follow everything you're saying.
All right, I'm gonna move to location in my house. So I saw that there was a question or comment about conflicts of interest. As school board members, we're required to undergo training regarding conflicts of interest and ethical considerations. I am completely disgusted by anybody who is acting to the contrary, which I have demonstrated since I've been on the board. And I think that any conflicts of interest or appearance of impropriety are unacceptable. And I would hope that others would feel the same.
That we heard. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on down through, we have a question about the purchase of devices for one-to-one. Does the budget amount account for technological support for further training? Want to be sure that we're implementing the technology with fidelity. Yes, there is money in the budget for staff development. And I believe that Mr. King and Dr. Pascarella are working on a plan to provide the training for the staff. And the rest have mainly to do with class sizes and are tied to things we have already discussed from what I can tell.
Okay. Ms. Turnbull, is that a fair respond to the majority of the questions, and with reiterating that they can certainly send any other comments or questions to administration and the board?
Absolutely.
Okay. Moving on to motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I hear all of my board members? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you all very much for participating this evening. We realize there are many issues that people had concerns over, and we are trying our very best to address each and every one. So please be patient. Please understand we have the best interests of the community at heart, and we will continue to work very hard. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.